Thanks, Chair. And first of all, I want to welcome you all here. I'm going to be quick fire. I don't want waffle. I just want quick yes or no's. And first of all, to Minister McGonagall, I want to thank you for your announcement on the story this morning, because it's a great help to people. Right, the hectaker announced this morning. If I'm in a riparian zone, if it's has 40, 50 mil, 60 mil of peaty soil that was shored, grown grass, is it eligible?
Probably not, no.
So it's not eligible?
Not if it's got more than 30 centimetres of peat.
So it's coming under the same terms and conditions even though you don't need a licence?
Well, in fact, the terms and conditions are even more strict because
you said you didn't need a licence earlier on.
You don't need a licence, but the environmental requirements are
So
are
it's gone, the peaty soil is gone,
30,
even for the hectaker of broadleaf?
Anything over 30 centimetres of peat.
So it's gone. Okay, that's what I want to know. In relation to a meeting, you had a meeting with the AFA, FII and CIFA, and Barry, you would probably have met these. Have they given the thumbs up to this new programme, yes or no?
Are you talking to me or Barry? Yeah. Yeah, with the IFA.
Barry, I think you'd have met them.
Well, thank you, Deputy Fitzmaurice. I suppose in the round, I mean, it's like everything.
Just a yes or no is all I want.
Well, it's a yes and no. They're welcoming certain aspects of it and are looking to explore further with other aspects of it. So yeah, I mean.
So FII have welcomed it, have they?
They did welcome it.
They did welcome when it was released at the time. Yeah.
No,
exactly,
and with the terms and conditions and all now in the latest meeting.
Welcome the programme, you know.
Okay, all right, that's grand. 3% in a PQ to the Minister, you said there'd be 3% left out, 24% are not affected, 73% will need some bit of twisting or turning. Will that create another backlog within the department?
No, because those licences are as good as ready to go. We just have to do.
How quick will they be processed?
Well, it'll be us. It'll be the department's.
Yeah, but how quick? Just tell me. Give me. Will it be a week? Will it be 2 weeks?
It depends on the requirements for each individual licence, which we're actively looking at, and the process has started. So we could be issuing.
Yeah, have you an idea how long it will take?
It depends on each individual licence.
On the 73%, you have looked at them already. You have given them the go-ahead. Now they have to go back for some bit of twisting or whatever has to be done.
Yeah. So many. Sorry, Deputy. Very briefly. So the licences without constraint will move through very quickly. We've already started issuing A4 licences last week, and that will increase in the next couple of weeks. So that gives some planting in November for registered foresters. Of the remaining ones, a lot of it is a desk exercise for our team. We're not going back out for further information. We're not asking further information from the applicants. We're dealing with that ourselves, and we're hoping to turn them around as quick as possible.
Okay, Barry. Earlier on the year, you came in talking about, first of all, the 1.3 billion. I think the public needs to know this. The announcement is, because we got sort of a bit baffled in Brussels, is 304 million of aid, and then the grants is going to be the rest over 15 to 20 years, which was thrown out in the media as we're going to be thrown out in the next 5 years. So I think the public needs to know that. But in relation to the planting, if I want to go in for 5 or 6 acres at the moment, or 10 acres, do I get paid for there's a good bit of reports in certain areas required. Do I get paid for that, yes or no?
Yes.
You do. So if I'm refused, do I get paid?
No.
So I'm out of pocket. It's 2,500. I've talked to foresters this morning that if I put it in an area that I'm refused, it's 2,500 to get these reports that's required in a lot of areas. So am I out of pocket for that then if I don't get the go-ahead?
Yes, but I think your advice, I think the advice that foresters should be giving would be strongly suggesting like this has either a good chance of getting accepted, and you'd expect the professionalism.
Like chances doesn't work for farmers.
I think that would be fair to say. Yeah, it's part of the payment. Yeah.
Once they're approved, it's paid.
Yeah, but if it's not approved, the farmer gets nothing, even though they have the reports done. Is that right?
Yes.
Correct.
Any cases of that?
And I suppose that's why it's worked so closely with the registered foresters in terms of the pre-application discussion, and so people fully understand how to best get these files through. We want to approve as many as possible and want them to.
Yeah, but you have to still go through the environmental parts of it.
Yeah, but if the forester advised the landowner that, look, you've a very slight chance of getting this through for whatever reasons, then that would be on the.
Okay,
yes,
all right. Of all the licences, I remember, Barry, we sat in Rod and Davy room and you talked about how many licences were approved of the old licences that could come in under the de minimis scheme. how come there has been such a lack of pickup, and you telling us that day that there was going to be, I think it was 7,000 acres, as you said?
280. I don't mind, I just have the figures here. I mean, we 288.
No, in the AV room, we were told there was 7,000 hectares available going back a few years, and you were saying there was going to be a great pickup on it because they could come in under this new scheme. What's the problem?
Yeah, we had about 2,000 in the end.
But what's planted at the moment this year?
At the moment, there's about, what, 1,500?
1,300 and something.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry to cut across you, Minister. So in terms of what's reported is, there's still the de minimis planting that's happened, and those payments are still underway, so there's still another 600 hectares to apply to that. In total, through the de minimis, which is beyond the ones that were planted through the old programme, there was about 1,950 hectares approved. So they were people with valid licence. These are the people who were talking about, Deputy, who had valid licence and decided to come in through the de minimis into this new programme, get the new payments, but at the old environmental.
But we had 7,000 hectares, and you were saying that you expected these to come in under this new great scheme.
Well, just shy of 2,000.
Yeah, but what's our targets per year?
Yes, exactly. But
what is it?
Yeah, it's 8,000 hectares.
Yeah, so we haven't even going to be hitting, and we had bad years. We won't even hit this year what we did hit before this.
But if you look at what the people are opting in, those files that are in the system, which is nearly 4,000 hectares, the majority of those have opted in, and we're working through those, and that their licenses to go out to be approved to plant for registered foresters to plant.
So you reckon there's going to be a boom coming, do you?
It's back to, we're doing everything we can to incentivise farmers to apply. We've increased the rates.
Look, let's call a spade a spade. The industry will tell us at the moment they expect about 15% of it. If they haven't done it in 3 or 4 years, they're not going to all of a sudden get wings and start.
I disagree because I think a lot of farmers.
The industry should know, Minister, in fairness.
I've spoken to farmers myself who have had their licence and waited for the new programme. It's typical of any new programme. If there's potentially something better coming next year, you're not going to plant last year.
Would you imagine that it starts by now? Right, if I have approval and I go for the financial approval of it and it was rejected, we'll say, can I say that's the grant part? If I went for that and it was rejected, can't I plant the trees myself if I feel like it? So there's no environmental rule on me. If I'm a big company, I can head off and plant wherever I want. I don't have to worry.
He has a licence.
Without a licence.
You can plant no tree without a licence if you're not going for the money.
The conditions of the old scheme.
You need
so he's a
licence, though, don't you?
He has a licence. He's received a valid licence from the department. And if he decides to, Deputy, he can decide to. So at the moment, we've asked people with a valid licence if they wish to opt into the new scheme. If that's the case, the new conditions apply.
Well, I don't think that's what Deputy. I don't think that's what Deputy.
I never asked you that question. What I asked you was, if I was refused the financial side of it, that I wouldn't get the licence, right? And I said, well, look, I'm not going to bother with the grant. I'm a big company, I have plenty of money. Can't I go in and plant that myself? There's nothing stopping me.
You can't plant that.
Why not? Who said
that?
It's not illegal to plant a tree without a licence.
It is, under the Forestry Act.
Under what?
Forestry
Act.
So anyone that plants a tree
can't plant anything over 0.1 of a hectare without a licence, apart from our scheme, apart from our 1 hectare scheme.
Okay, that's perfect. Right, in 2014 to 2020, am I correct in saying the 15-year programme, the last one, had 12 years and then had 3 years de minimis? Is that right? Am I? Right. And how come in the new scheme there's no de minimis?
Well, we had a piece of de minimis between
No.
the two schemes.
I know that. I'm talking about the new scheme.
I don't know.
There isn't 3 years de minimis.
You take it, Barry, please.
Yeah, Deputy. So if you recall, some of the delays as to why we could apply for our new programme was waiting for the new state aid, EU state aid rules to kick in. In those new state aid rules, those the manner on how they facilitated us paying landowners has changed. So it means de minimis does not apply now. So the 20-year payments to farmers, no de minimis applies to those payments.
But am I correct in saying it was outlined that there was 12 years of it was...
12 was state aid.
12 was state aid and 3 was de minimis.
Correct,
right?
yeah, correct.
Isn't it correct, and I'll push it to you, Mr. Delaney, that now, under the de minimis, you couldn't get grants of any more than, I think it's off the top of my head, 200,000 per year. It is now open with no de minimis that you can draw whatever money you want for them 15 years because there's no de minimis. It's actually suiting the big corporations. Because up to now, There was, am I right, in the 3 years, if you drew X amount from the Department of Agriculture for cattle or whatever, there was a certain threshold is the most you could draw. There is none of that now. Isn't that right?
That's the nature of de minimis. Yeah.
No, but there's no de minimis now, so it's not stopped. It's given the big corporation the chance that they can draw whatever they want.
De minimis applies in the absence of having state aid approval, and there's normally
in the last scheme, 14 to 20, there was under the 12 years there was 3 years de minimis and 12 years the other way. Now there's no de minimis, so the big cartel or the big company there's no blockage on the amount of money they can draw. Isn't that correct? When you look at the two schemes.
Well, with once they valid A4 licences.
Pardon?
Once they valid forestation licences to do so,
but it will
through the system, and they're eligible whether they're.
Is there a fear under, say, since 2016 to now, with the different problems that has been, we're down probably. Well, in the last 4 years, we'll have done 1 year of the 8,000 hectares. With the amount of timbers, and I see it coming out in your dashboard every week, that's cut the tonnages or the cubic metres. When are we going to negative in what we're cutting more than what we're planting? And what's the consequences of that?
Yeah, but I suppose, sorry, Mr.
Yeah, I know that, but it takes a while. Go on.
Well, the projections, I mean, show a doubling of the output in terms of volume out to 2040 from 2020, I think.
But are we in negative at the moment that we've cut more than what we're planting?
No, I don't think so, are we? Not based on the projections, they're going to keep going up. The output every year is going to go up and up and up till 2040, and then maybe there's a drop off then potentially.
Sorry, Deputy, just to clarify that
I'll come on automatically.
One more question, that's it.
Okay. Sorry, Deputy. Yeah, so in the private clear file, there's about 5,000 hectares this year, and that's increasing up to over 10,000 hectares by 2036. All of that's felled has to be replanted and to be available in 30 years' time. And then in addition to that, so every single hectare that we plant under forestation is additional to that in 30 years' time.
So we'll never be in a minus?
No, because it's that's going to be. It's 2,000 this year. We hope it's going to be more next year and the year after.
And for clarification at the moment, just a question. My understanding is, and what we learned in Europe is, Quilcha now can draw the grants. Is that correct?
Yes, that seems to be the legal advice that says they can.
Under the new state aid guidelines that were published on the 1st of January, any semi-state bodies and public authorities and local authorities can draw down.
And the last one I'm going to say is, if this doesn't work, and I'm going to nail it at the moment, it won't work. Farmers aren't going to take up on this, in my opinion. I hope they do, and I hope I'm proved wrong. But if this doesn't work, what's plan B?
Well, listen, I mean, I think if you look at what we've done here, Deputy Fitzmaurice, there's been a massive step change in terms of the support that's available. The key objective here is to support the family farms who have the land in this country to actually adopt some forestry as part of their farming enterprise. The premiums are very attractive, up by almost 2/3 on an annual basis, and then an extra 5 years for farmers themselves.
Can I just say something, Minister, and it's not interrupting.
Yeah.
The area I come from, and Eugene as well, we've looked at it already. They're in the hope, and Jesus are planting at 3 in it now. One time you couldn't now, because there's so much reports you need. Let's be honest with you.
We're out of time. So
The vast, listen, there is restrictions in certain areas, and we can only provide licences where it's appropriate to do so, and it stacks up from that point of view, and that provides challenges obviously for those who are in those areas. But in terms of, from a government point of view, putting really strong premiums in place, which is what we've done, and then making sure then that people can get their licences in a timely fashion, which wasn't the case for 2 or 3 years, but which is now the case. The commitment from the department now is that in 6 months, if an appropriate assessment isn't required, if a new licence comes in, a farmer will get that licence, and in 9 months, if appropriate assessment is required, that they will get the licence. So the premiums are replaced, the licensing system is now righted, and the backlog that emerged as a result of the court case in 2019 has been rectified, and the ingredients are there. Obviously, it remains up to farmers to decide what they want to do with their land, and there's never been more opportunities in relation to demand on that land, and that's farmers' choice then.